You know, I've been playing guitar now for 30, 35 years, and it just dawned on me the other day that I should really work on being a songwriter. I mean, how hard could being a songwriter be? I mean, I know all the chords, right? You got your E, your D, your C, your A, your G, and even the tricky B7. I know bar chords. So how hard could it be to be a songwriter? So I worked on it the other night, and I came up with a few things I thought I'd play for you right now. This one I've been working on. It's just a little instrumental piece. Okay, it's not much, but it's a start. That's an original Jeff Kelley composition here. I also worked on this the other day. Okay, I'm sorry. That's I didn't write that. That was a riff from a Black Sabbath song, probably written by Tony Iommi, and that's pure plagiarism on my part. How about this one? Oh, you're right. I got that from a Burt Reynolds movie. Jesus, you know, this songwriting thing I don't think is as easy as I thought. Well, hello there, Old Man Kelley here. Jeff to my friends, how's everybody doing out there? Sorry I didn't have a show last week. I did do the coffee and beer thing last week, but I actually recorded the show. That intro part with me playing guitar was actually recorded for last week's show, but the rest of it was really bad. I mean, as bad as my vlog usually is, that was extremely bad. Anyway, let me ask you a question. If you were able to go back in time to the past, how closely do you think your memories of your past life would equal the reality of what they really were? If I had to guess, I would say there'd be nothing like what you remember. I thought of this the other day when I was watching the Ingmar Bergman film Wild Strawberries. It's about an elderly man who recalls his past life. And the thing is, you know, the brain is such a horrible record keeper. It really is. It didn't evolve to keep detailed, accurate records. I mean, you've been there, right? Where you and a relative or somebody's talking about something that happened in the past, and both of you have sometimes slightly different, sometimes majorly different ideas of what happened, and neither of you are lying, right? It's just you remember it different. The brain, it's weird. You know, a question that people are always asking famous people is, if you could go back and talk to your 13-year-old self, what advice would you give him? First of all, there isn't nor will there ever be time travel. But second, I don't want to meet my young self, and I don't want to tell him anything because, well, I've got a pretty good life right now, and I don't want to mess that up. You know, if I go back in time and step on a cricket, couldn't that affect things here now, you know? That's why any movie or TV show that deals with time travel immediately gets the red flag of caution, because usually they don't make any sense and there's too many flaws, and I can just see the logic doesn't work. It's the whole time paradox thing, you know, you've heard it. You know, if I went back in time and killed my grandfather when he was a kid, then I wouldn't exist now. And if I didn't exist now, how would I go back in time and kill my grandfather? Therefore, he would exist. It's a paradox. People say, I'd love to go back in time and kill Hitler. But if you went back in time and killed Hitler before he did anything awful, then nowadays there would be no Hitler. You wouldn't go back in time to kill him. Therefore, there would be you get the idea. Yeah, this whole notion of time travel, yeah, just give it up, right?
The mystery is time. The haunted house is space. In our true story, the ghosts travel at the speed of light as they come straight out of the past. your past. Yes, time is a mysterious thing. Have you ever tried to define time? The harder you search for a definition, the more elusive it becomes.
Hey, I read on the internet the other day that the Old Man Kelley vlog is the best show available on YouTube. Of course, that was on my blog and I wrote it, but still, it's on the internet, so it must be true. So today I want to talk about David Lean's 1962 masterpiece called Lawrence of Arabia. I love this film. I love it for a lot of reasons. I mean, it's widely considered one of the greatest and most influential films in the history of cinema. And I know that because I read it on Wikipedia. But seriously, visually it's breathtaking. One of the most beautifully shot movies I've ever seen. And it's acted by such wonderful people. People like Alec Guinness and Anthony Quinn, Jose Ferrer, Claude Rains, Omar Sharif, and of course, the legendary Peter O'Toole. But here's the thing about this film. I think it should be shown to anyone who has an interest in video or filmmaking who was born after the introduction of MTV. And I'm talking about you, J.J. Abrams. It's the story of T.E. Lawrence and his involvement with the Arab revolt against the Ottoman Empire during the First World War. And yes, the film has been heavily criticized for its accuracy and portrayal of some of the characters, including that of Lawrence himself. But I give it a little slack. One, because it was such a massive story that had to be condensed into a reasonable length. And two, it's Hollywood, and we know how that goes. But the reason why I like this film a lot is because of its pacing. The film isn't afraid to set things up, isn't afraid to slow down once in a while, and isn't afraid to take a long, slow breath. I mean, is there one shot in the last Marvel action superhero movie that lasts more than 2.5 seconds? I wonder. One of the most famous scenes from Lawrence of Arabia is the scene where they introduce Omar Sharif. And it starts out with this shot of a massive desert that stretches from side to side of the wide screen. And in the center is a little dot, and that dot slowly gets bigger and bigger. It's close to 3 minutes before we find out that's Omar Sharif as he takes off his little thingy. There's one shot during that scene that lasts almost 45 seconds. I mean, in today's films, you can't go 45 seconds without seeing an explosion, a brutal killing, or a pair of naked boobs, right? Now, some people will tell you that it's because film editing has gotten better these days. And I say no. Today's film editing is for people with no attention span, who grew up on the early days of MTV. But it is one of my favorite all-time films, and unless you've ever watched and appreciated this film, I don't think me and you can have a reasonable discussion when it comes to cinema. And by the way, I know that J.J. Abrams was born only 5 years after me, well after the introduction of MTV, so don't send me any emails. Well, thank you for watching my vlog today. Numbers have been up lately. A couple weeks ago, I told you I was considering going to a craft beer festival, and I did, and had a good time. Like I think I mentioned 2 weeks ago, the problem with those craft beer festivals is, well, you have to drink a lot to get your money's worth. And I drank a lot. And I got my money's worth. But, you know, I wish there was a way to have a festival like that. I would almost like it if you had to pay for every beer and you got a full glass. I'd much prefer to go up to a stand, get a nice full glass of beer, and sit down and slowly sip the beer and enjoy it, and then look around and say, what other beer can I try and get full? And only try 2 or 3 different beers. But that's not the world we live in now. So, and earlier today I talked about time travel movies and how I don't have any use for them or whatever I said, and There are a few movies that have time travel that I appreciate. Time After Time with Malcolm McDowell. I like that movie a lot. And even those have their flaws, but every movie has their flaws. I get that. It's just how much can you accept? How much can your suspension of disbelief allow you to accept these flaws before it gets too much? You're like, give me a break. And that's, Anyway, thanks for watching. I'll try to be back next week if I get something good to record. I want to see a band tonight, an acoustic band with my brother. Maybe I'll get some footage for that. I don't know. Talk to you later. Thanks.